Hi there. I thought I would do a little video that explains how I plan each leg of the US 50 states trip that I am currently embarking on in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I'll start with the route, which I found online. This was my starting point, and I found this apparently from Mr. Printables. And it's a great route. I believe it was probably designed with driving in mind. So I did make a few modifications when flying the routes that just made a little bit more sense so I didn't have to cross back over the same place twice. Like, for instance, up in the Northeast, I believe I hit New Hampshire's capital on the way to Maine's capital. Or, for example, I believe that I picked up Frankfort, Kentucky after Charleston on the way to Nashville. But a great starting point and more or less the route. So I translated that into a spreadsheet, and then, which looks like this. And then for each leg, I'm going to walk through basically what the process is that I follow when I plan each leg of the route and import it into Microsoft Flight Simulator. All right, so we have the legs in order that would correlate to the chart we just saw. Sometimes I do fly them independently, depending on how much time I have and etc. So for today, I'm just going to fly the next longest leg that I haven't completed yet. That's the plan. And that would be flying from Montgomery to Baton Rouge. So that's what's up for today. So we're going to be flying from KMGM to KBTR. And I use, and I'm a big fan of, SimBrief for flight plans. There is a free version, but it is also a paid subscription, especially if you want the Navgraph charts. So I do pay for the subscription. I like it a lot. And what you're going to see here is the paid version of SimBrief. I guess it probably includes some slightly newer charts. Okay, so I'm going to go into the dispatch screen. We'll do the kind of the quick version here. All right, we're going to create a new flight. And we're going to put in some of the required information. I'm calling this USA. And if you saw back in the spreadsheet, this is leg number 21. We're going to be flying from KMGM. We're going to be flying to KBTR. And we're going to be flying in the Vision Jet, which I've already set up as part of my fleet, which I won't get into today. All right, so it's going to show us a preview of the route. And here's the route list. It's pretty straightforward as far as intermediate waypoints. And then that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to leave everything else at automatic, and I'm going to generate a flight. So now it's going to think. Okay, so it generated a flight plan. And in the sim, I also use their downloader program. So that'll actually download the flight plan files into Microsoft Simulator, and then can import those into the world map. But what I'll show you here are two things real quick. These are additional pieces of information that I need when I'm inputting the flight plan in the Vision Jet in the game. So one of the things is around weight and balance, right? How much fuel to take on. And so I'm going to use this number. Actually, I'll probably round up 1340 or so. That'll be the amount of fuel I put on the airplane. And then the other thing that's weight related is I will set the overall takeoff weight in the sims. This is the max. So basically once I adjust fuel, I'll just max out the payload to where I get a total weight of 6,000. So that's one thing I need. The other thing I need is the route that'll show me what, oh, I went by it. That'll show me what the landing runway is. I'm going to use this as I pick out my approach. So I can see here, you know, SIDS and stars, right? I don't see any departure, but actually don't see a SID or a star, just all direct. So, but we can pick an approach here. So that brings us to the next piece. It doesn't show us yet what the kind of where we hand off right into the approach. So that's where this is handy. I clicked the button there for import into Navigraph charts, so it's going to do that for us. Really like that bit of integration. And it's going to plug in the route. It's going to plug in the start or the origin and the destination. And then it's going to give us a list of approaches for runway 31. So we're going to go in there. And it's got RNAV, runway 31. And we'll take a look and see what our options are for transitions. We're kind of coming in here from the northeast. So I think I'll probably just pick, I don't know how to say this, but Ike. I'll probably pick that transition as it seems to be kind of the closest. So I'll add that. I'll need that Ike transition when I'm plugging in the approach in the game. So there is our updated flight plan. And now pretty much everything else I'll need in the game. So I'm pretty much done here. I will note real quickly, this is a real short flight plan, but a couple things as far as the cruising speed that it wants, 0.47 Mach. It's going to be having us cruise at 260, FL 260. And I'm not sure there's a whole lot else there that I need. But these things will get, both of those items will get pulled in when we load in the flight plan. All right, let's transition over to the game and take a look at what this looks like in the game. First, we're going to start with the SimBrief downloader. Now that I've put in that flight plan, I will come in here and refresh. It'll pull up the last flight, and I'm going to click that, and it's going to upload those files. So the VisionJet uses the standard Microsoft Flight Simulator format. So it's just going to use that. There's no special configurations there. And now we're going to see the flight plan when we hop into the game. All right, so in the world map now, if we take a look at saved files, it's going to show us the flight plan there that we created a minute ago. In the East Coast, it is dark now at the time of this recording, but for now we'll play with this. We talked about the fuel, right? We can do this here, or we can do this in the game. So it was like, what, 1340, something like that. Sorry, I'm not looking at it. But we set our fuel, and then we can max out the payload to 6,000. And then I'll show you the bit about the approach. That's all we have to do here. So we're going to jump into the game. And like I said, a lot of this will come along with that file, the flight plan file. There's very little of it that actually is required for us to manually enter. And a note here while it's thinking, I did want to mention earlier, the first part of the video was recorded on my laptop and it was trying to capture at 4K, and I noticed some of the capture was kind of slow, especially the Navigraph website. Just, you know, a disclaimer, that's not their website, certainly. It was actually just my laptop is kind of slow. All right, so we're kind of enjoying some of the video of the library, the paint job that I created for my 50-state journey. I'll probably do another video on the whole process to create that. That was a lot of fun and a lot of learning. But we'll jump into the game. Okay, so I'm not going to really talk about what each of these things is. We're going to get to the flight plan section. So also I will skip the initialization screen. I would normally do that. We're going to jump right into the flight plan and I'll show you the bits that we needed. Okay, so a lot of this came in, clear that, caution, a lot of this came in from the flight plan. And like I said, it is pretty straightforward. The pieces that we're going to look at is the approach, and you'll remember we picked RNAV 31. So we picked RNAV 31. It actually did default to the ICAI transition, which is great. So we don't need to change that. We're going to load. And now if we go back to the flight plan, here's our approach that we just selected. And that's about it. That's all we need to do. One thing I just remembered or just realized, we didn't really talk about the VNav. That's one other piece of information that's a feature that I do like to use here in the game. It kind of tells you when to start your descent, and it'll actually do that for you. Yeah, that's one of the autopilot modes. The only thing we need for that is kind of the bottom of descent elevation, and if you have an approach, you can use that, or what am I trying to say? Not an approach, but the arrival. We don't have an arrival in this case. I'm going to look at in the approach chart for that RNAV. I'm going to look and see what is the elevation that it wants us to be at, and we'll just use that. So I'm looking at the chart now over on my other screen, and it wants us to be at FARDAD at 2100, and so let's do that. We'll put in not FARDAD but FADAD. So we'll put in here 2,100 feet at FADAD, and that'll get used when we turn on VNav. But that is basically it. That's all we need from a flight plan standpoint for our flight. Hope you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, and feel free to follow my channel and my YouTube for more videos about some of the different legs, and follow me as I fly this journey throughout the United States and hit all 50 state capitals.